Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Dragon Ball Z.
Nope.
Damn.
Sorry. No Goku, none of that stuff, No Frieza. But there is magical stuff that occurs, there is some of that magic,
There's no magic in Dragon Ball
There is.
Z.
I mean, it's magical.
there is.
Yeah.
Dealing with Boo and
That's
now
true.
Daima.
what is all that freaking
Bibby.
Super Saiyan bullshit, you know what I
That's
mean?
not
Like,
magic, you dumb fuck.
Okay, anyway, Dragon Ball. God damn it. Dragon Age: The Veilguard is what we're here to talk about today, not Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. So Dragon Age: The Veilguard is a new game from BioWare. BioWare has not had the best pedigree as of late when it comes to releasing games. The last good game they brought out was probably Dragon Age Inquisition.
That was how long ago?
10 years ago. 10-ish years ago.
It is debatable by some people.
Yeah. And,
I thought it was good.
Then they brought out Mass Effect Andromeda. That was a hot pile of garbage. They brought out Anthem. We wanted to like that game, but it just
Still
didn't
think that
succeed.
game has so much fucking potential.
Had so much potential, but it unfortunately didn't happen. And now here we are with Dragon Age: The Veilguard. That was formerly called Dreadwolf, which I think would have actually probably been more appropriate. I still don't know why they called it Veilguard.
The Dreadwolf just sounded so much better.
Yeah, because the Dreadwolf is like Solus. Solus is like the Dreadwolf, and that's his like name.
Oh.
And he's kind of like the main like kind of person that you're like. He's not a villain, but he's like kind of a villain, but he's not.
It's called Travis.
Huh? No. It's an interesting kind of situation, but like, earlier on in the game, it's like you do something that accidentally releases these gods that he put in prison. So now they're out like wreaking havoc and now you have to fix everything. And so he's kind of helping you, but he's also like he's kind of like part of the rebellion of like everything in the world and stuff like that. So I didn't play the former Dragon Ages that much, so I don't have much to say about that. So anybody that's a big Dragon Age fan, don't judge me. I'm coming in fresh to this world.
They're going to judge.
Probably going to judge me, but that's okay.
You can leave hate in comments. It's fine.
Yeah.
We don't discriminate.
But the Dragon Age of Veilguard is actually better than I expected it was going to be. I've put in just shy of 8 hours in this game. So this is an early review. This isn't a full review of anything, of course. It's just like, here's my opinions and perspective thus far. Right at the very beginning, create my character. Very extensive character creator.
Yeah.
You pick your lineage, you pick your appearance, you pick your class, you pick your faction, play style, etc.
Pronouns.
If you want to do that, you can pick he, she, they, them, all that stuff. You can be non-binary. You can be a man or a woman. You can do all those different things. You pick these different appearance presets, and then once you pick those appearance presets, you go into, I actually want to go back a little bit because I want to see. Here we go. We have a part here where I want to pull up a list of the different classes.
I'm putting up our footage.
There we go. So you can play as a human, an elf, a dwarf, or this other group that is from Dragon Age that has these big horns. I'm trying to remember the name of those characters.
Didn't even look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at them. But 4 different lineages you can choose from, and then when you get to the class phase, you can do a warrior, a mage, or a rogue. And then each one of those has 3 different specializations pathways you can go down to skill out or spec out your character. So I went with the warrior just because it's like the most approachable, basic one for me. I'm sure Austin would do a rogue if he jumped into it. It's gonna be more arrows and bows.
Yeah,
and
Veil Ranger. That's what I would pick.
Yeah. So it's really cool how you kind of can build out your character. This is like probably the most RPG mechanic system of the game, in that when you get in your skill tree, there's a lot of shit to unlock and spec out. And the skill tree starts from the core center area and then branches out 3 different directions. And of those different directions, your skills will impact or like build up towards these different specializations, but they also add passive traits, regular trait or passive abilities, regular traits, and then skills to your arsenal to be the type of character you're trying to be. And what I really appreciate about this game is that at any point in time, you can respec for free. So if you're going down a path that you don't like, you can respec and redo the whole thing over again. And it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
So you can always change that up. You can't switch your class, but you can switch your specialization approach throughout the game. And then you also have your faction or your people that like, play with you, your companions that you get throughout the course of the game. You start out with Harding and Neva, and then Varric gets injured early on in the game. So eventually I'm sure he'll come in, but early game, he's not available to play with. But of those, this is a little bit different than the earlier games in that you used to be able to switch to those other characters and play them. And this one, you just control your character. And then what you can do, though, is you can spec out and upgrade the equipment and the skills, which is a smaller skill tree of your companions. And then you can also tell them what to do in combat as far as spells go. But there's nothing more than that, which I think is totally fine. And I kind of appreciate that because when I was playing Inquisition, when we did that before this game came out, I was a little overwhelmed with having to manage, like, being able to, like, having so many different characters kind of switch through.
Yeah.
So I was happy to not have to do that.
Okay.
And then you pick your faction. So based on your faction is kind of like determines your lineage, and it can influence some of your choices in the game. I haven't seen much of this have an impact, but and the other thing too that was kind of annoying is that being a player that hasn't played much of Dragon Age, I don't know really much about these factions, and I think they don't give you enough early on to understand what those factions are, to know whether it's good or bad like go that pathway. Mm-hmm. Most of it's just story and lore stuff, but I kind of wish they gave you a little bit more insight into those factions before you build your character.
I'm digging the vibe of this. I know it's completely different from the last game, but like I don't know. I like the colors. I like the cinematic of it. It looks cool.
Yeah.
And I watch you play some of the gameplay. The gameplay looks smooth. It looks like the combat system looks fun.
Yeah.
So
the game is really smooth. The one thing that we complained about early on was the character designs. Mm-hmm. I still don't love the stylization of the characters, but I'm okay with it now.
Okay.
It kind of has a little bit of a Pixar look to it in a way, where like the world is so realistic. Yeah, it's got a Fortnite-ish kind of like vibe, but I'm okay with it because, I mean, kudos to them for trying to go with the style.
I'm very curious
like they
why,
tried something a little different. I don't know.
Because it's not like a small change. It's a very big change compared to the last one. And I'm just very confused on why they went that route, especially since they had a giant fan base for the last one.
Well, it's gone through development hell. It took 10 years. So when you finally lock someone down, like it's going to be different.
I will say it didn't take 10 years to make this game, though. It was less than that because they had other games, that happened between that.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm saying is like from the last game to this,
right.
Like the continuity is going to get lost. Like you're going to have the final game is going to be different. Like if you don't have a good plan to like put these games out like one after the other, almost like the early Assassin's Creed games and stuff, like you're going to lose some of that. And even that had some. Well, there's a whole thing with that.
Do you think they went that route just to try to reach more audience?
I think you could definitely argue that.
Because it is a big change. I enjoy it. I like it. But I can see why a lot of fans are not happy with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of my early comments that I wrote down was that this is like the early dialogue in this game is really bad. And it continues to not be great. And that's one of my biggest nitpicks because performance-wise on this game, this is probably one of the most bug-free, best-performing games I've played at launch in a while. Outside of like, Black Ops was good. But even Black Ops has some bugs. I haven't really encountered any bugs in this game.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
It's been smooth. And that's so rare. How many times we talk about and bitch about how bad the game is at launch? There's nothing wrong with this game at launch. Works great. It runs great, plays great. I'm like, they did that. They like achieved that objective, which is very hard to say nowadays. And like, especially for BioWare, who has failed at that, like it's been a great game. I'm playing on PlayStation 5, playing on performance mode, runs good, haven't had any hiccups, no crashes, none of that stuff. Very, very impressed by that.
So this person left the review, and I think it kind of speaks to your point of why it looks so different. It says Veilguard is definitely a product of mismanagement, but not in the way that everyone thinks. I think we're seeing an example of a game that was stuck in development hell for too long, caught onto too many trends that were popular a few years ago and didn't really keep up.
I could see that. Maybe they were jumping on that whole
because
stylization that was going on, and just here we are still.
They already made it too far, and they're like, well, we just need to push through.
I think this is supposed to be games of the service game originally, like when it was announced, and I think it just like no, like just so much pushback, and then they weren't really working on it.
Do you feel like there's game service things that are in it? Well, I mean, it's not just like not in it now, but like there could have been. Like you feel like
no,
okay,
no, I don't remember that ever happening. But I mean, because I remember when they first launched it, it was just like a title screen of just like Dreadwolf, and then that was it. And then it like was in dark for so long. And I wish they went with Dreadwolf, honestly.
I still like what is it? Veilguard?
The Veilguard.
Veilguard. Yeah. I still like Veilguard, but I don't really get the background story on a lot of this because I try.
So we as the companion group, we are the Veilguard. That's who we are. That's who your party is. Oh. So that's why they went with that. It's like they changed the name because the Dreadwolf is kind of more the negative connotation and more like the villainous kind of vibe to it, and they wanted to be more about the hopeful, like the Veilguard, the people that are like protecting. And that was kind of like, that was more the shtick, I guess, of the game.
I gotcha.
It's about the Veilguard, even though like the Dreadwolf is like one of the main key pieces there.
Yeah,
you are playing as the Guard of the Veil, kind of the deal.
I tried to play the last one, and it's dated, and I just couldn't really get into it because there was a lot going on, especially with like controlling your other characters and stuff like that. And I get people enjoy that, but with this one, I think you told me you don't really control them as much.
You don't control them at all, other than just like their skills. You tell them what skills to use. Yeah. Okay. But so a couple things that I thought were interesting about this game is that there's a lot more layers to it. Mm-hmm. It's not. I do find it, other than the skill tree being so extensive, it feels more action adventure than RPG to me.
Yeah.
So like one thing that I noticed as I played through more of it is it feels actually a lot like God of War. In the way that God of War plays, the recent God of War, in that you're not as heavy of a character, but the things that you do, like you're going through these semi-linear pathways, and then off this beam path is like going to be like a chest or some kind of thing you can collect that'll help upgrade your character, and then you navigate through these corridors, and then when you go to do combat, like I have my sword and I have my shield, and I can throw my shield just like in God of War.
Yeah.
I have an ability where I can throw it and then like send it back out again and do that kind of thing. I can aim it to like use it as a puzzle mechanic, which is also like with your axe in God of War. There's a parry system. There's a dodge roll. There's a takedown ability that you unlock as you progress through the game. So there's a lot of just like the gameplay mechanics that you're familiar with in God of War. This is very much like that. And it feels like that throughout the course of the game.
I think that's why I'm digging it so much.
Yeah.
I do like the environment, everything like that, but I think I'm mostly digging it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm probably going to purchase it today.
Yeah. And it's not near as high production. Like I don't think it's as high production as God of War. I mean, God of War still is like God tier, if you will, of like visual fidelity, but this one is still good. It's we're in a post Baldur's Gate age. I've said that many times. This is not Baldur's Gate, but this is not something where I'm like, they're doing some interesting things here that I really liked. With the way the game plays, with the combat system. Like the combat system is it's deep for me. I've heard some people say they don't love the combat system, but I think there's also people out there that just like will refuse to like this game because of all the controversy that's revolved around it.
Yeah.
And haven't given it a chance. And I think if you give it a chance, like I came in this game trying to give it a chance, and I'm like, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. I mean,
do you regret purchasing it at all?
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah. And it's a $70 game too. But I want to keep coming back to it. And I've been returning to it more than I thought I would. Which is kind of cool. And the story is getting more interesting the more I play it.
Yeah.
It started off very slow, and this is a lot of stuff I've been reading is that they did not do a good job setting this game up. So if you get in the first 2 or 3 hours, like it is a bit of a slog. There's some repetitive dialogue, and I do sometimes say early on, like the dialogue is very shitty. Like I even wrote in my note, it feels like baby's first Dragon Age.
Yeah, I heard a lot of
one of the comments and stuff, but the world is great. The gameplay is great. The story, overarching story, I think is good and interesting. It's just some of the script writing and Harding too. It's like I asked Travis the other day. I was like what kind of character is Harding? Because I wrote down Harding is a stupid and reckless character. I'm surprised she's one of the main characters because she's just like she gets like badly injured and she's like, yeah, let's go back in. Like 5 minutes later, I'm like, go rest. Like you just got beat the shit out of. Like you're not gonna be able to get back up and jump back into it. But she's like, yeah, we can do this, guys. I'm gonna go fight. And I'm like, it's just there's a disconnect there and like her emotional like where she should be in that moment. Mm-hmm. But the more I'm playing the game, the more it's like it's finding its own. And for that, it's like it's getting better. And I'm like, okay, this is getting good. And it's supposed to be like a 40, 45 hour game. So I think once we get a little further into it and it opens up a little bit more, it's gonna definitely
it's just the combat
improve.
Seems so good.
Yeah.
So I found the thing.
Okay.
So it was a video I found on YouTube. It says Dragon Age 4 confirmed live service elements and behind the scenes, which took me to a Kotaku article. It's BioWare doubles down on Anthem as pressure mounts by Jason Schreier back in January 24th, 2018. And it did state that the next Dragon Age, which was recently rebooted, so apparently they were being worked on, and I guess they canceled it. And then I found the part where it says... they're talking about Anthem. They're talking about some other games having live service and stuff like that. And then it came to this part in the article. It says the goal, the sources said, was to implement more quote unquote live elements to the game. Although 2 of those sources stress that the next Dragon Age will still have a heavy focus on character and story whenever it does come out. It's not clear what a quote unquote live version of Dragon Age might look like, but EA has publicly announced or has been public about its embrace of games as a service and its lack of interest in releasing $60 games that do not have any sort of revenue tell, whether that means paid extra content, microtransactions, or something else.
So they must have shifted at some point.
Oh, no, they did. They
which I appreciate because it's like you can tell like this game doesn't have any of that in it. And they've already shifted. They already announced that this game will not have DLC. That BioWare has moved on to the next. They're moving on to the next thing, other than obviously updates and stuff. So it's like, I think Electronic Arts has learned a lot of hard lessons recently. They're continuing to learn more lessons, but I mean, like this is for me, this is a step in the right direction for BioWare. Would I say BioWare's back? I don't know if BioWare's back yet, but this is a good BioWare game.
So if you think they worked more on the script a little bit, that this would be like a 10 out of 10 game?
I don't know if it could ever get 10 out of 10, but I could definitely see it moving up to a 9. Yeah.
A 9?
I could see it get up there to
What
a 9.
other gripes do you have with it besides the storyline and the dialogue? Well, not the storyline, because you said overarching story is great, but the dialogue is not great. What
I think
is there anything else that's hindering
there doesn't
that?
seem to be any there's I think because of the fact that it's called an RPG and it feels less like an RPG is can be a gripe for me. It's not near as deep as like Cyberpunk or Starfield was, or well, not even Starfield. Baldur's Gate and Cyberpunk for me are like top tier RPG mechanics, especially with the refixes of Cyberpunk. Okay. This one kind of rides that line between the two, and I think they could have maybe pushed it a little bit further. I also haven't seen much. One of the big gripes I know a lot of people had about this game is that they don't have a character importer from the previous games, as far as I'm aware, but you can say the things. Oh, actually, I do know that that's true because they said it was just because of how much time had passed and some of the like new engine and a bunch of different things that they did here. It was just too complicated to put that system in. So instead, they ask you questions that can influence where your story starts.
I know a lot of games that did that.
But from what I've heard, that doesn't really matter much. The decisions you made previously, really, it's kind of. They're kind of looking at this like a clean slate in a way.
I gotcha.
And like there's a defined start of the story that doesn't really shift much from your past decisions, which for a Mass Effect game and a Dragon Age game like that is a big deal. But the other thing too is like I haven't seen my dialogue choices. Like I can't be a bad guy.
Can't be a dick.
I can't be a dick in this game. And that's another key RPG component, is you can be an asshole, you can kill everybody in the world, you know. This is just like you have 3 different main choices. You have one that's like this like brute looking character that's like, I'm just gonna be a strong, like direct to the point character. You can be kind of snarky and kind of funny, or you can be like always affirmative, like it's a thumbs up and it's like, yes, let's be positive and do this. Those are your 3 options, and then there's like a sad face that you can do, but there's never like, I want to be an asshole and be a dick to everybody in here. Like that doesn't exist.
I feel like Baldur's Gate has spoiled us way 100%. Too fucking much, dude. So like if Baldur's Gate didn't come out, what would you rate this? The same?
It'd be hard to tell at this point.
Probably still the same. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but I would probably still rate it the same. But it is hard because I do compare it to that.
Yeah. But like you said, it's not really an RPG, it just is an action adventure. So RPG takes wasn't there a game recently we were talking about that it was supposed to be an RPG, but it took like
Final Fantasy 16.
There it is.
Yeah.
It took like it was in the back seat the whole time, and it just felt like a fucking slasher. Yeah, it was Final Fantasy 16. Yeah.
Because I'm not going to play this game, so I went ahead and watched some people talk about it, and that was like, I mean, people were like, hey, you know, if you think you might like this, like, go ahead and buy it and try it out for yourself. But then the reviewers like, yeah, this game is garbage. Like, that's been the resounding like narrative of people online. And apparently BioWare had a bunch of people get together and they're like, okay, what do you think about the game? Like the early, I guess they played
beta,
an early version of it. And then if you gave it like a meh or a negative review, they didn't allow you to have an early copy to play the whole game. Which, I mean, they can do whatever they want, but it's just kind of one of those things. Like, why are you on the front end trying to,
Well, I've also heard some stories that have denied that claim also. So I'm like, I haven't quite seen enough evidence. I know there's some YouTubers out there that have probably didn't get the game, but it's like maybe they're not, maybe they just sent it out to press outlets and that was like the, the extent of it. Cause I've heard some other people say like they've heard that story, but haven't met anybody that got denied the game for review.
Also saw articles saying
there's one video I watched and the guy went through the whole story of like what happened and why they're not reviewing, or I can't remember if they were or they weren't. Mm-hmm. No, you know what? I think they said we're just going to have to buy the game to review it to get the early copy. But
I don't know, because I saw articles saying that like a lot of people are returning this game, but I don't know how much truth is behind that. Yeah. And I feel like it's a bunch of, I hate to say it, just a bunch of people that are like super upset, that are like true dedicated fans, and they are just mad.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also, I mean, the one of the big elephants in the room too is like the wokeness of the game that is getting a lot of the game is getting a lot of flack for that, and there's people that refuse to buy it because of that reason. Like you have gender identity options in here and stuff like that, and like I know there's plenty of videos that I know Asmongold is a big one of that where he's just like, I'm not touching this game for that.
Actually, he's playing it. He's playing it.
Oh, is he playing it?
Yeah, he's playing
it. Played it and everything.
He's like, I want to play it just so I can tell you how bad it is.
Yeah. Oh, did he? Yeah. Is he like negative on it? Like pretty negative on it now?
I haven't seen a video of him like doing post review stuff yet. Yeah. So he's probably still playing it.
But I know there's been a lot of like discourse towards that, and like it's not unwarranted because there are some things in here that are kind of like thrown in your face, a little heavy handed in areas and stuff. But like for the most part, I can get past. I mean, it is what it is.
I feel like with RPG stuff like this, they shouldn't. I don't want to sound rude, but I feel like it should just be natural to the story. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be like really forced. It should be natural and flowing with the story. I mean, multiple entertainment has done it pretty well, but some of them haven't, and that's mostly what we talk about. Those the ones that have it, but we don't praise the ones that have done it so far well.
Well, this is why I think it's getting compared to Baldur's Gate, because you can be whatever you want in that game.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck.
You can do whatever you want, and no one, a resounding nobody is like, this game is so woke, I'm not going to play it. It's like, no, it's gotten rave reviews across the board, making all the money.
Yeah.
everyone's like, hey, why don't we make more games like this? Like,
And
they do it right.
just to give a little bit of prime example of what I'm talking about, Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
When Ellen Page, now what is her name? His name's Elliot Page now.
Yeah,
right?
Elliot, yeah.
Whenever she was going through, or he was going through his transition, they actually made it flow with the story, and it wasn't really shoved in your face. I thought it was very elegant and very beautiful and natural.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of want to see with games like this, if they're going to introduce that, and not like what Austin and myself is just a check on the box. Hey, we got that covered. But
Heavy-handed.
very heavy-handed. I know it's out there. I'm not rebuting it or like saying no, it's bad or whatever. I'm fine with it. But if you're really forcing it down, it's just people aren't going to accept it that way.
Yeah, and it does seem like more like a box check in this, because there's moments where I have like gender identity dialogue options where I can say like, oh, I feel good in my skin, or I'm like, I'm not quite where I am in my own skin yet, kind of thing. But it's like beyond that, like it doesn't really exist. It doesn't like play into from what I've seen, I don't think narrative. Plays into the narrative or anything like that. But all that aside, I mean, like
what?
Go ahead.
One of the reviewers were talking about that. It's like all these side quests, all these people, like all the side characters' issues, like don't play into the story like they would, say, Mass Effect. It's like, like you want to do this because it could affect who's going to live or die on this mission, you know, depending on. They did such a good job. Like you don't know how it will affect, even if you do complete the mission.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I'm making a gamble and I'm hoping that this like does something, you know. And you know, it helps you fall in love with people and stuff. And apparently everybody just wants to
And it's great character development
get in your
as
pants.
well. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You get to learn a character, like especially if you, because you don't like every character in Mass Effect. Like they're not all that cool, but you know, it's like, oh, I like Garrus. I want to help Garrus out.
There was definitely a lot of standouts in that one that I really appreciated. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I'm glad I picked this game up, and I'm glad I gave it a chance, because I was about ready to just not play it. But I was like, I want to give it a fair chance, and I am not disappointed I bought this game. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself with it. I think it's good. Is it great? No, but it's a good game, and I think it could be on my top 10 this year.
I'm excited to play it. I remember watching the release trailer for it. I was like, oh, this looks super cool, you know? And I didn't realize it was Dragon Age until, you know, the title popped up.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I kind of want to play this. And then all the fucking bad press for it came out. And I was just like, do I really want to play it? But half the time with games like this, I don't even pay attention to the story. As long as the gameplay's fun and it seems like it's my style of game, I think I might get... I think it might be worth picking up. My own opinion, but...
Yeah,
I did want her to be a dick the whole time. Now that kind of pisses me off, because I was sitting here watching the gameplay. I'm like, I'm just going to be a dick this time. That's what I want.
Yeah, one of the reviewers, he was like, I just want to be a dick the whole time and see what happens, and like nothing happened.
Is there different endings?
I think know. There is.
Okay,
I haven't. I mean, you know, I'm not.
Yeah, you're not far into it. But from what you showed me, and from what you say, I think I would enjoy this game. And it's unfortunate, especially with BioWare, with the story. Well, not the story, the dialogue lacking so much. Because, like you brought up, Mass Effect, that was.
Oh man, like
that gave
everything you did, like you would even like want to be like, I want to be so good that I can open the extra, you know, Paragon options if I wanted to. Or I want to be so bad so I can say this Renegade thing. And it's just like, okay, I have something to strive for.
That gave me anxiety.
Yeah.
Playing those games. I was just like, oof, brother, I don't know what to do.
brother.
We'll see. I'm excited. I mean, if you pick it up, I'm excited to see what you guys say at the end.
And
see what it is. You don't have much time. It's almost Cody.
Well, I'm off Monday. I'm probably going to play it all day Monday. Okay. If it's good, you know, I'm just really digging the gameplay. Like, that's what I'm like. And the environment's really pretty, and it's colorful, unlike the last one, which I'm not hating on the last one. It just wasn't my style of game.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, the RPG takes a backseat, which I'm cool with.
Because sometimes that's all you want.
Yeah. I just want to go in there and, like, be a badass, fuck some shit up. Yeah, most definitely going rogue, though.
None of the reviewers were saying, like, yeah, I'm a big Dragon Age fan, but I'm not playing this for the story. I'm playing for the combat.
For the combat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, PC Gamer is...
How's it doing on Steam charts?
It's got 60,000.
Yeah.
60,000.
PC Gamer is usually, like, for me, has been one of the few publications that, like, isn't super inconsistent. and they reviewed it, and usually they're pretty critical if they find something that's like worth being critical about.
You didn't want to use IGN?
No. It's funny. They even have a contradictory. They have a review that came out that was high, and then they brought out a feature article that's basically like bashing the game. So it's like funny how they're like being contradictory, but they just had a weird
they feed off
situation.
The people,
but PC Gamer gave it a 79, and they said it's a genuinely enjoyable, gorgeous action RPG that lacks the storytelling nuance of previous Dragon Age games. Which that's kind of the key part. It's like it's not the epic storytelling that you'd expect from BioWare, but this also isn't the same BioWare team, which sucks. But it's not bad. You know, it's good, and it hits the mark, and it's a step in the right direction, and it's not bad, which I'm very happy because I was worried I was just gonna be tearing this apart like I did Test Drive Unlimited.
Yeah.
But it's not that.
I can tell you this much: it's probably better than Star Wars Outlaws.
I mean, if you put this game and that game in front of me, I'm getting this game.
This is infinitely better than Star Wars Outlaws.
I feel like I won't feel like I wasted my money and then just trade it in a game the next day if I get this game.
Yeah,
awesome.
no, it's crazy. Yeah, this is way better than Star Wars Outlaws for
That's
sure.
insane.
So yeah, Dragon Age Veilguard. I recommend checking it out. If you want to get back in the Dragon Age. I mean, if you're a diehard fan, like I feel like there is gonna be some disappointment here. But so Travis, be warned. But I think if you've never played Dragon Age, I think it's worth jumping into.
Yeah.
If you have played Dragon Age and weren't just like a super fan, it's okay. I was talking to a coworker the other day. She's a big Dragon Age person. She loves RPGs. She loves Dragon Age. She's thoroughly enjoying this game, and she played 800 hours of Baldur's Gate 3.
No.
She got into Horizon Forbidden West and played like 200 hours of that game. Like she dives deep into these games, and she's into this game and really enjoying it. So that was good to see that, because that was from a person who came from that, you know, that era that is into it. Like she still thinks it does it justice pretty well.
I feel like I'm going to get into this game. I really do.
Check out the first 15 reviews on Steam. They're all positive, but when you read the reviews, there's like, it's good, asterisk. Like, just know what you're getting into. And I think they do a good job of being, technically, it's not a positive review. It's like a mixed review. It's like, I enjoy it, but, and I think that might help some people.
If we didn't help, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean,
dude,
I thought it was a decent review. I thought it was pretty good. If you want me to be honest.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, if you want a little
But fuck
extra,
our opinion.
a little extra,
basically
on top.
Austin's
Thanks,
like,
Austin.
No,
Yeah.
hey, I'm
don't
telling
listen to
you.
your
Don't
gamer.
listen to
Go
Inner
Steam,
Gamer. Fuck
okay?
us. All right. You don't even have to fucking listen that long. If you go to Steam, just read it. Be like, all right, we're good.
You know what?
Fuck them guys.
Don't go to Steam. Who needs Steam? We don't need Steam. Just download the games and don't look at reviews.
And if you have the game, please let us know what you think. Or if you don't have the game, let us know why.
I also read a lot of stuff about, there was some discourse about the Dragon Age games of past.
Yeah.
Inquisition was not well received when it came out.
I heard that. Yes.
And there was another one. The second Dragon Age was rushed out a year after the first one, apparently.
Yeah.
So that one also got poor reviews. So they've had, this isn't the only time there's been negative press here.
Right.
I feel like the story of this game in 3 or 4 years is like, this is a good Dragon Age game that's
And they're going to be
brought the
begging for
franchise
another one.
back. Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Check it out. If you like my review and agree with me, you should look into it.